Hello everyone. I hope you guys are doing good. So here I am with another class, and today we will talk about another very interesting topic. So before starting the class, I'd like to once again share this valuable piece of information with you guys. As you can see here, these are the two. This is our WhatsApp group, and this is our Telegram group. And if you join these two groups, there we will share with you the PPT of today's class. And apart from that, we keep sharing a lot of stuff in these two groups. So মই আপোনালোকক আকৌ এবাৰ ৰিকুৱেষ্ট কৰিম to join these two groups. And how will you join these two groups? By clicking on the link given below in the description. So please do that. Okay. As you all know, okay, we have come up with this interview guidance program for APAC CCE 2022, and as part of this interview guidance program, we have already completed two very important legs of this important guidance program. First, we conducted a session. We conducted a YouTube live session. We conducted a YouTube live session which was hosted by Sri Robin Kolita sir. He is the IRTS retired former director IRCTC, and he was also the former external member of the APAC interview board. And it was a very successful session. The second session, which was another very important leg of our interview guidance program for APAC 2022, was that particular session was hosted. It was hosted by Sri Anil Swarup sir. Okay, it was hosted by Sri Anil Swarup sir. And Sri Anil Swarup sir is a very big name in the domain of civil services, and he is an IAS. He's a retired IAS officer. He's a retired IAS officer. Apart from that, he's a very reputed Indian author, and he was, as an IAS officer, he was previously the former Coal Secretary of India, which is a very honorable and reputable position to hold. So these two sessions have already been conducted, and both the sessions were highly successful. Many students, many aspirants, many people who want to be civil service officers, who have appeared the CC mains and who are preparing themselves for the interview round, they have gotten in touch with us and they have asked us a lot of things. They were active, and both the sessions were live, so they have asked us a lot of questions, and we have responded each one of them with a meaningful answer. So the response to both these sessions have been really great, but we have much more to offer as part of this interview guidance program. There is much more in store. Some of the most important, some of the most attractive features of this interview guidance program include one-to-one individual profiling session. One-to-one individual profiling session means that we will be assessing your strengths. Okay, we will be assessing your strengths, your weaknesses, everything about it. We will observe you, everything about you. We will observe you closely, and we will tell you, okay, we will tell you certain things which will really help you in the final stage. That is the interview round. Apart from it, there is this multiple online and offline seminar workshop sessions. Apart from there is this important current affairs discussion classes by senior faculties of CSAP. Okay, PDF materials. Okay, PDF materials. There is this one-to-one mock interview sessions. With esteemed panelists. Okay, there is this one-to-one mock interview session with esteemed panelists, and this is going to be a very important part of this interview guidance program. Okay, so this has already been completed. So now let's begin today's class. See, in my last class, I was talking about some of the most important aspects of Jainism, if you remember. Okay, a very good evening to all of you. In my last class, I was talking about some of the most important aspects of Jainism, and as far as I remember, I ended the class while talking about that very big statue of Gomateshwar Bahubali, which can be found at Shravan Belagola in the Hassan district of Karnataka. That particular huge, humongous statue, massive statue of Gomateshwar Bahubali was built by the Ganga dynasty, like I said, in around 10th century CE. And I also told you that every 12 years at this particular site, there is a very big gathering that takes place. There's a very big religious gathering that takes place at this particular site every 12 years. And the name of this religious gathering is Mahamastak Abhishek. Okay, this is Mahamastak Abhishek. So that's where I ended my last class. Today we will continue from that. Okay, today we will take it forward from that particular part, and Today, today we will continue from that particular part, and we will talk about a lot of things. See, first and foremost, okay, in my last class, I must have told you guys about, I must have spoken about Bhadra Bahu. Okay, I must have spoken about Bhadra Bahu. So if you remember, see, I must have told you guys that Chandragupta Maurya, okay, Chandragupta Maurya, he went to this place called Shravan Belagola, and that is where he performed Salekhan or Santhara. And Chandragupta Maurya went to this place, but he was not the only one who went to this place. Like I said, a group of Jain monks went to Shravan Belagola. Shravan Belagola, a group of Jain monks went from Magadha. They migrated from Magadha to Shravan Belagola, as Magadha was devastated by famine. Not all Jain monks migrated, but some Jain monks migrated. And Chandragupta Maurya was a part of that particular group. And that particular group which migrated from Magadha to Shravan Belagola was, the leader of that group was the most important Jain monk of the time, and his name was Bhadra Bahu. Bhadra Bahu was the name of the Jain monk. So, and after reaching that place, Chandragupta Maurya, like I told you guys in my last class, he performed Salekhan or Santhara under the supervision and guidance of Bhadra Bahu. Now, when things became normal, okay, when things became normal, so obviously things have now become normal, okay, things have now become normal. So obviously, what will they do? Since things have now become normal, obviously what they will do is, they will go back to Magadha, because that's where their home was. Their migration was temporary. They migrated just to, just to get away from that famine, just to get away from the bad effects or from the evil effects of famine. They migrated. Now that situation has gone back to normal. Now that situation has gone back to being normal. They did what? Now that the situation has gone back to being normal, they migrated back. They went back to their original place. They went back to Magadha. Okay, now that the situation has become normal, they went back to Magadha. And once they went back to Magadha, the Jain monks who had come to Shravan Belagola from Magadha are now going back to Magadha. And I also told you guys that not all Jain monks migrated to Magadha. Okay, only a few Jain monks had, not Magadha, only a few Jain monks had migrated to Shravan Belagola. So that means that some of the Jain monks were already staying in Magadha. Okay, some of the Jain monks had decided to stay back and not to migrate. Now, when this group, which had earlier decided to migrate to Shravan Belagola and has now migrated back to Magadha, this group, when it went back to Magadha, okay, jetya Magadha hole ako ghuri gol, it was surprised, it was shocked, this particular group, okay, consisting this particular group, consisting of many Jain monks, they were surprised and shocked to find that the Jain monks who had decided to stay back in Magadha and who had not migrated have started deviating from the original teachings of Lord Mahavir. The point I am trying to make here is, jetya junkhini Jain monks migrate korisil Shravan Belagola le, tahate jetya ghuri gol Magadha hole, okay, tahati Magadha hole ghuri joar pisot tahati dekhile je Magadhot junkhini manhu thaki goisil, okay, junkhini Jain monks tahator logot migrate nokorile, hekhini Jain monks enekwa bahut bostu dhoribo, enekwa bahut bostu koribole dhorile junbilak Mahavir Jainor teachings bilakor biruddhe ase. Jeneke, for example, okay, Mahavir Jain was totally against the idea of dressing yourself up. Mahavir Jain, he was in favor of roaming around naked. He did not prefer wearing clothes, and he also asked his followers not to wear clothes. But the Jain monks who had stayed behind in Magadha, they had started wearing white clothes. Okay, and there were many other things which they started doing and which went against the teachings of Lord Mahavir. So jetya ekhini monks junkhini Shravan Belagola pa etia Magadha hole gol, tahate jetya ebilak bostu jetya dekhile, so that led to a what? That led to a formal division. That eventually led to a formal division within Jainism. Jainism on eight-way root cause. Okay, eight-way root cause all for the division which took place within Jainism, and Jainism finally got divided into two groups. Jainism finally got divided into two groups. The names of these two groups are, one of the groups came to be known as Shvetambara, and the other group came to be known as Digambara. These are the two most important groups within Jainism. Okay, Jainism, like Buddhism, also got split. Jainism is now getting split. What was the reason for the split? Because when the reason for the split was certain internal differences. Okay, one group decided to deviate. One group decided to introduce certain changes to the original teachings of Mahavir. So, in other words, they wanted to modify the religion, and the other group said that we are not going to modify, we will follow the teachings of Lord Mahavir as he told us, as he taught us. So they did not deviate. So that finally led to a schism, or that finally led to a division within the ranks of Jainism in the form of Shvetambara and Digambara. Okay, now we have to understand the differences between Shvetambara and Digambara. And by the way, the other group which had decided to stay back in Magadha and which had started deviating from the original teachings of Lord Mahavir, and which had started wearing clothes, that particular group was headed by another very famous Jain monk by the name of Sthula Bhadra. Sthula Bhadra. Who was Sthula Bhadra? Sthula Bhadra was the name. Sthula Bhadra was the name of the Jain monk who was the leader of the group, or who became the leader of the group which had decided to stay back in Magadha and which had started deviating from the original teachings of Lord Mahavir. Hey group 2 leader kun asile Sthula Bhadra. Okay, the leader of that particular group was Sthula Bhadra. Etia kotha tu hol. Now let's talk about the differences between Shvetambara and Digambara. Okay, let me open a new page. Okay, let me open a new slide, a fresh one. So this is Shvetambara. And this is Digambara. Okay, this is Shvetambara and this is Digambara. Now, the first point of difference is that Shvetambaras ke liye, the meaning of the word Shvetambaras, the meaning of the word Shvet, okay, Shvet means what? Shvet means white, W-H-I-T-E. Shvet means white, boga. So, if you translate this, it will be white clad. If you translate this, it will be white clad. Shvetambara means white clad. What is the meaning of clad? Mane boga kapur pinha manu. Okay? Ba boga di june nijoke dhake. White clad. Clad shobdotor ortho ki to cover oneself up. Okay? Clad. White clad. And the meaning of Digambara is sky clad. The meaning of Digambara is sky clad. So Shvetambara white clad and Digambara sky clad. Okay, am I clear? Shvetambara is white clad and Digambara is sky clad. Okay, Shvetambara is white clad and Digambara is sky clad. Okay, this is the literal meaning of Shvetambara and Digambara. Okay, and so sky clad means what? Sky clad, this Digambar sect of Jainism does not believe in wearing clothes. So it believes in the original teachings of Lord Mahavir. So remember, so in other words, this Digambar developed out of the group which had decided to migrate. Karan june migrate korile, hey group 2, it kept on following the original teachings of Lord Mahavir. Okay. They call themselves sky clad because they do not believe in superficial things like clothes. They believe that what is the point in covering ourselves with clothes? These are superficial things. We are covered up by the sky itself. Sky covers us up. So sky clad. Okay. The literal meaning of the word Digambar is what? Sky clad. Okay. Sky clad. white clad and sky clad. Then the second point of difference. See, the second point of difference is that Digambar. The second point of difference is that according to the Digambara sect, Mahavir was unmarried. Mahavir was unmarried. The Digambar sect believed that Lord Mahavir was not married, but the Shvetambara sect believed that he was married. He was married to a woman named Yashodhara or Yashoda, I think. Okay, but check for he was married to Yashoda, Lord Mahavir. Okay, and they also had a daughter. Lord Mahavir and this particular woman also had a daughter by the name of Priyadarshi. Lord Mahavir and his wife, according to Shvetambara sect, also had a daughter by the name of Priyadarshi. And Priyadarshi, they further say that Priyadarshi was married to a person by the name of Jamali. Jamali was Priyadarshi's husband. So, Jamali was, according to Shvetambara, Jamali was Lord Mahavir's son-in-law, Priyadarshi. Priyadarshi was married to Jamali, and Shvetambara sect believes that Jamali was in fact the first disciple of Lord Mahavir. Jamali was in fact the first disciple of Lord Mahavir, according to Shvetambara. So these are the two differences. Then difference number 3. Shvetambar sect says that householders can attain salvation, while Digambar sect says that cannot. Cannot attain salvation. Okay, cannot attain salvation. According to Shvetambar, Shvetambar ki koi, the householders can attain salvation. Digambar ki koi, cannot attain salvation. Okay, householders can attain salvation, cannot attain salvation. Householders mane people having families. Okay, people who have families. And so there is a reason why do the Digambar sect or why do the Digambaras say that householders cannot attain salvation? Because Jainism, like I said before, Jainism gives a lot of importance. Jainism believes that in order for a person to be able to attain salvation, he has to do 3 things. Okay, he has to do, or 3 things are compulsory for him. First is what? He must be able to endure a lot of torture, then deep meditation, and then strict fasting. Remember, I spoke about these things in the last class. Self-torture, deep meditation, and strict, very, very strict fasting. These three things are necessary for a soul or for a person to attain salvation. And it believes that because it will be very, very difficult, almost impossible for a householder to do these 3 things, because a householder, because he needs to take care of his family. So actually they are speaking sense, they're making sense. Okay, they're speaking sense. What they're saying is in complete harmony with the principles of Jainism, because it will be impossible for a householder to do these things. So it said that Digambar sect believed that it is impossible for a householder to attain salvation. But according to Shvetambara, see, you also have to realize that if you say such a thing, that householders cannot attain salvation, Okay, if you say such a thing, automatically you are losing out on a huge population, because out of all the population, most of the people will be householders. So in a way, you are saying that this religion is not for the householders straight away. Straight away, you are saying that this religion is not for the householders. Householders bilakor karone. Okay, poribar thoka manhor karone ei dharmoto nohoy. So you are losing out on a huge crowd. In fact, this is one of the reasons why Jainism could never become as popular as Buddhism, because Buddhism never said something like this. So what it did was, according to my opinion, it started making certain modifications. Okay, it started making certain modifications, especially this view. This view was supported by Shwetambara. Ki korile, this particular, since it was not able to attract householders, which accounted for most number of people, okay, so it came up, Jainism came up with a new concept. Okay, Jainism, it came up with the concept of what? Jainism came up with the concept of periodic retreat. The concept of periodic retreat is not there in Buddhism. It is only in Jainism. Okay, the concept of periodic retreat is not there in Buddhism. It is only in Jainism. Now, what is the meaning of periodic retreat? What is the meaning of periodic retreat? See, because Jainism believes, or at least Digambar believes that, or Digambar sect of Jainism believes that it is impossible for householders to attain salvation. But there is a catch to it. It is impossible. Householders cannot attain salvation because they have their own families. They cannot make such, sacrifices, because these things require a lot of sacrifice on your part. So Jainism came up with something called periodic retreat. So in a way, householders cannot attain salvation. That means that the only people who can attain salvation are monks. So if you want to attain salvation, become a monk. Only a monk can attain salvation according to Digambar sect. So when they came up with this modification, when they came up with the concept of periodic retreat under this, and see, when they used to say that only monks can attain salvation, they were not able to attract householders, because if the householders know, what is the point in me becoming a follower of religion which will not help me attain salvation? So I will follow other religions which are in favor of a householder's life. Like for example, Buddha spoke in favor of a householder's life. According to Buddha, a householder as well as a monk can attain salvation. So because it was not being able to attract the householders, it came up with the concept of what? It came up with the concept of the periodic retreat. Since it was not able to attract the householders, it came up with the concept of periodic retreat, under which it said that you can lead a householder's life, no problem. But from time to time, if you take a break from that householder's life, and if you start living like a Jain monk for some time at least, I'm not asking you to become a full-fledged Jain monk, at least experience what it means to be a Jain monk for a few days. Now, even if you do that, if you take a break from your householder's life, and if you live the life of a Jain monk for a few days, what it takes to be a Jain monk, if you do everything that a Jain monk does, at least for a few days, even then you can attain salvation. This is the concept of periodic retreat. Okay, but this concept is totally absent. It doesn't make any sense for Buddha to speak in favor of, or to speak about periodic retreat, because Buddha anyway is in favor of, or Buddha anyway say that householders as well as monks can attain salvation. But since Jainism was against the idea of householders attaining salvation, so it came up with this periodic retreat. So this periodic retreat actually salvaged. Okay, it actually you can also say that it actually gave a new lease of life to Jainism. Okay, it may have added to the popularity of Jainism. It may have added to the declining popularity of Jainism. The concept of what? The concept of periodic retreat from time to time. Since they were asked to live the life of a monk from time to time, so the word periodic. Okay, so the word periodic. Okay, so anyway, likewise, point number 4, Shvetambara, they say that women can attain salvation, but according to Digambara, women cannot attain salvation. This is again understandable. The position of Digambara, or the view of, or the opinion of Digambara on women is again understandable, because how can women attain salvation? Because women, just like householders, will not be able to make these big sacrifices. Women, just like householders, will not be able to make these sacrifices. So they say that women also cannot attain salvation. Okay, so the concept of periodic retreat not just helped the householders, but it also gave a new ray of hope to the women also. Okay, the concept of periodic retreat. But on the other hand, Shvetambara was of the view, or the Shvetambara sect said that no, women can also attain salvation. Okay, women can also attain salvation. Now, I would like to add here that although the Digambar sect believed in roaming around naked, it did not believe in wearing clothes. So to be practical, in Assam you will find many followers of the Digambara sect of Jainism, but they wear clothes. Because out of all the principles and beliefs of the Digambar sect, this is one principle which could not stand relevant for a long time. It was because it seems that it was not that practical, the idea that we should roam around naked. So this thing could not hold much water for a long time, although it was something which was preached by Lord Mahavir. But even during the early days of Jainism, this was something which may not have been strictly followed by people, and historians are of the opinion that it was finally given up. Okay, this idea was finally discarded to a large degree. You will still find monks. Okay, I'm saying this principle could never during the very early days, while Lord Mahavir was alive, maybe at that point in time this idea used to be popular. But after a few centuries after his death, this the popularity of the idea of not wearing clothes, it began to die down slowly. Okay, so the point I'm trying to make here is, although this was one of the original teachings of Lord Mahavir, it could not become that popular, and people started discarding this. People started rejecting this in the early days of Jainism itself. Okay, during the early centuries of Jainism itself. So anyway, these were some of the differences between the Shvetambara and the Digambara sect of Jainism. Now, apart from the differences, but let me also share something very relevant and interesting with you guys. Although Jainism had these two sects, that is Digambara and Shvetambara. Although Jainism had these two sects called Digambara and Shvetambara, but they are not the difference or the split of Jainism into Shvetambara and Digambara is not as deep, is not as far reaching as Heenayan and Mahayana. Heenayan and Mahayana are completely different from each other in terms of ideology, in terms of the belief system. So if you look at Heenayan and Mahayana, they are totally more than similarities, you will find differences in Heenayan and Mahayana. Okay, they are completely different from each other. Their teachings, their beliefs, they are completely different. But if you talk about Shvetambara and Digambara, The difference is, there are differences, but the division is not as deep as the division is, okay, as the division is with respect to, as the division is with respect to Shwetambara and Digambara. So the division of Shwetambara, the division between Shwetambara and Digambara, or the difference between Shwetambara and Digambara is not as deep and far-reaching as the difference between Heenyan and Mahayan. Heenyan and Mahayan or Khetrot, differences are very, very deep. Okay, differences are very, very deep. This is one of the reasons, okay, this can be one of the reasons why Buddhism declined in its own birthplace. But Jainism did not decline in its own birthplace. Okay, Buddhism declined in its own birthplace. This can be considered as one of the reasons, because it got split into Heenyan and Mahayan, and both were totally different from each other. And this split could have an, it must have had, okay, this split must have had an, or it must have had a long-term impact. It must have had a long-term impact on Buddhism. But Jainism, although Jainism also got split, but the split was not that deep. The split was not as deep as the split was not, or the differences, or you can say, okay, ideological differences, they were not at complete loggerheads. Shwetambara and Digambara, they were not at complete loggerheads with each other. But Heenyan and Mahayan, where they were at complete loggerheads with each other. Okay, am I clear? Now the thing is that, see, now that we know the differences between Shwetambara and Digambara, now let's talk about another very important aspect, that is the Jain councils. Jain councils. Now see, Jain councils, again, this is something which is not as detailed as the Buddhist council. Okay, like for example, we know that the Buddhist councils are much more detailed. Okay, we have got a lot of information about the Buddhist councils, and all that information is quite authentic, but we cannot say the same about the Jain councils. So we do not know much about the Jain councils, but certain things are known to us, and that is what we are going to study under this heading, Jain councils. Now see, there have been two Jain councils. There have been two important Jain councils. First Jain council, it happened in Patliputra. First Jain council, it took place in Patliputra. First Jain council took place in Patliputra. Okay, Patliputra. Year was 300 BCE. Year was 300 BCE. And the first Jain council, it is said that it took place after the death of Bhadrabahu, the most revered and the most influential Jain monk of that time. Okay, 300 BC. Bhadrabahu was the most influential, he was the most revered Jain monk of that time. Okay, Jain monk. So, this Jain council, first Jain council, is said to have taken place immediately after the death of Bhadrabahu. So, actually in this, but see, there lies a difference. Again, there is another difference between Digambara and Shwetambara. Digambars are of the opinion, since Digambars, their leader was Bhadrabahu. The leader of that group which went to Shravan Belagola and came back to Magadha was Bhadrabahu. So and that particular group later came to be known as Digambars. So obviously Digambars will respect Bhadrabahu more than the Shwetambaras. Now the thing is that the Digambars believed, or they say that Bhadrabahu was the last person who knew about the original teachings of Lord Mahavir. Bhadrabahu was the last person, he was the last person who was familiar with the original teachings of Lord Mahavir. And so, after his death, all that teaching is also lost. We have lost the teachings of Lord Mahavir, the original teachings of Lord Mahavir for eternity. We have lost it. So, the Digambar sect never acknowledged, they never accepted whatever was the outcome of the first Jain council. Because in the first Jain council, what exactly happened? In the first Jain council, the 14 Purvas, okay, there were 14 important religious books in Jainism prior to this. 14 Purvas. During the time of Bhadrabahu, when Bhadrabahu was alive, there were the 14 Purvas. Now that Bhadrabahu is dead, now that Bhadrabahu is no more. So in the first Jain council, the 14 Purvas, okay, what are Purvas? Jain religious texts. The 14 Purvas were replaced by 12 Angas. Okay, 14 Purvas were replaced by 12 Angas. 14 Purvas were replaced by 12 Angas in the first Jain council, but the Digambars do not accept this. Okay, the Digambars rejected this. Okay, now, so this was the first Jain council. It took place in Pataliputra. Year was 300 BCE. Then came the second Jain council. Then came the second Jain council. Just give me 1 second. Okay, then came the second Jain council, and then came the second Jain council. The second Jain council, it took place in Vallabhi. Vallabhi is in Gujarat. It took place in Vallabhi. See, here lies a very important thing for us as well. Here lies a very important thing for us as well. By, you know, and the year was 512 CE. Circa around 512 CE. So here lies a very important piece of information for us. We can deduce from this, or we can say from this, আমি যেহেতু জানো যে বল্লভী হৈছিল বল্লভী আছে গুজৰাটত আৰু 512 CE. So we can say that by 512 CE Jainism had spread in Gujarat. Okay, Jainism found a place. Jainism, you know, it started having its followers in Gujarat. Otherwise, why would they conduct the second Jain council in Gujarat? Why would they do this at Vallabhi in Gujarat? They could have done that in another place. Okay, they chose Vallabhi in Gujarat. That itself is quite evident of the fact that Gujarat may have been a very popular place for Jainism by 512 AD. Okay, it may have become a very popular place for Jainism by 512 CE. Okay, so the second Jain council took place at Vallabhi in Gujarat, and the year was around 512 CE. The year was around 512 CE. Now, okay, the year was around 512 CE. Now the thing is that, see, so this is the second Jain council. Okay, this is the second Jain council. So these are the two Jain councils, and what exactly happened in this Jain council? In the second Jain council, the 14 Purvas and the so in the first Jain council, the 14 Purvas were replaced by 12 Angas. The 14 Purvas were replaced by 12 Angas in the first Jain council. In the second Jain council, those 12 Angas were committed to writing. They were put down to writing in the second Jain council. Okay, in the second Jain council, the 14 Purvas, okay, in the second Jain council, the 14 Purvas were committed to writing. Okay, they were committed to writing. So these are the two Jain councils. Likha goise. Okay, so these are the two Jain councils. Acha, because I am talking about Gujarat, so have you realized something? Okay, why Jainism is Today, if I ask you one question, Jainism, you will find the most number of Jains. Okay, out of all the places in India, you will find the most number of Jains today in the twin states of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Okay, is there a specific reason for this? Can you guys give me the answer to this question? I'll just wait for 2 minutes. Is my question clear? Out of all the Indian states, because see, we know that the place of birth of Jainism was not Gujarat or Rajasthan. Okay, the place of birth. Okay, where was Jainism born? Because Mahavir Jain was born in Vaishali, which is in Bihar. So how come today the most number of Jains are in these two states? That is the state of Rajasthan and the state of Gujarat. What is the reason? Why do we find the most number of Jains in these two states, Rajasthan and Gujarat? কোনে ক'ব পাৰিব? ভাবাচোন অলপ ভাবা. Put on your thinking caps. Okay, put on your thinking caps, please. So wealthy merchants and traders hole ki hobo? Moi ki hudisu? Wealthy merchants and traders hole moi hudisu out of all the Indian places আমি গুজরাট আৰু ৰাজস্থানতে কিয় জৈনিজম পাওঁ? মানে বেছি মানে ধৰা ৰাজস্থান আৰু গুজৰাটত আমি আটাইতকৈ বেছি জৈন ধৰ্ম ফলো কৰা মানুহ কিয় পাওঁ সেইটোৱে সুধিছো. wealthy merchants and traders মানে কি? তেনেকুৱাতো কোনো কথা নাই ন যে প্ৰত্যেকজন জৈন যে তোমাৰ ধনী হ'ব বা 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 তাহাঁতি আগৰ পৰাই ধনী আছিল কাৰণে তাহাঁতি গুজৰাট আৰু ৰাজস্থানলৈ গুচি গ'ল. আমি গুজৰাট আৰু ৰাজস্থানতে কিয় why do we find the most number of Jains in the states of Gujarat and Rajasthan? Okay, do you realize that Jainism was not born in any of these two states? No, Jainism was born in a completely different area. Jainism was born in North India. Then how come it became such an important religion in these two states? It is North India comparison of Rajasthan and Gujarat has a higher percentage of Jain followers. Why? That is my question. No. Dibjoti Koleta, your answers are not convincing. No, Priyanka Rani Datta. Had that been the case, Mahavir Jain expired or Mahavir Jain passed away in Pavapuri. Okay, Pavapuri. Mahavir Jain expired in Pavapuri, which is in North India. So Pavapuri, I already told you that Mahavir Jain was the most popular Tirthankara. And Mahavir Jain passed away in Pavapuri. So Pavapuri is in North India. So ideally North India should have had more number of Jain followers. Kashmita, question to বুজি পাইছা? প্ৰিয়ংকা ৰাণী দত্ত, মই তোমাক যোনটো যুক্তি দিলো সেই যুক্তিটো বুজি পাইছা নে? তুমি কৈছা 22nd তীৰ্থাঙ্কৰৰ সেলভেশন হৈছিল ক'ত? গুজৰাটত. যদিও আমি মানি লওঁ, ওকে, ফাৰ্স্ট অফ অল 22nd তীৰ্থাঙ্কৰৰ 23rd or 24th or বাদে আমাৰ হিষ্টৰিকেল ৰেকৰ্ডছ ইমান নাই about the first 22nd তীৰ্থাঙ্কৰাস. Okay, we do not know much about the first 22 Tirthankaras. We do not know much. But even if we go by what you were saying, then going by that logic, Lord Mahavir, he passed away in Pavapuri, which is in North India. So North India, ideally, don't you think that North India should have had more number of Jain followers? Then West India, now I'm talking about Rajasthan and Gujarat, which is West India or Western India. Why? Kashmira paisa. ঠিক আছে, তেনে আনসাৰটো দিয়া। ভাবাচোন, ভাবা অলপ। মই এনেকুৱা এটা প্ৰশ্ন সোধা নাই যোনটো বিষয়ে তোমালোকৰ একো আইডিয়াই নাই, তোমালোকে আনসাৰটো জানা। ইট হেজ টু ডু উইথ দ্য টিচিংছ অফ জেইনিজম। এতিয়া মই সেই উত্তৰটো দি নিদিওঁ। মই যদি সব ৰেডিমেড তোমালোকক দি থাকোঁ, তোমালোকে মানে তোমালোকৰ যোনটো নিজৰ ভবা শক্তি, মেক ইউজ অফ দেট ভবা শক্তি। Nilutpal, Baby, Parishmita. Nilutpal Burwa, religious tolerance মানে বুঝি না পালো মই। Religious tolerance, how can religious tolerance be a reason for this? Because how can trade and commerce be a reason for this? ঠিক আছে, তুমি কৈছা trade and commerce. So how can trade and commerce be a reason for this? চোৱা, কথাটো হ'ল, কথাটো ইমান টান নহয়। I have already told you guys যে Jainism was against what? Jainism was against any such activity. Jainism was against any such activity which could take life, or any such activity which was against life, or which would end up killing anything, which would end up causing harm to anything. Those activities were not allowed in Jainism. So, for example, Jainism was against agriculture. If somebody practices agriculture, if somebody is a farmer, he cannot become a Jain. He has to give up farming. Because why? Because agriculture or farming involves, farming involves killing of microorganisms. Knowingly or unknowingly. Without killing microorganisms, you will not be able to do agriculture or farming. So what did it lead to? It led to farmers staying away from Jainism. So the farmers cannot become Jain followers. The farmers cannot accept Jainism. So Jainism is a religion which is not for the farmers, not just the farmers. Jainism is a religion which is not for the producing class, those who are into production. Those who are into production, because production by its by its very nature, production by its very nature involves killing of life. Production by its very nature involves killing of life, big or small. That's a different thing. No. Priyanka, you are also wrong. Why will Jainism attract wealthy merchants or traders? This doesn't make any sense. Mane, what you are trying to say is Jainism dharma to wealthy merchants and traders be like accept korle. Why? Why will wealthy merchants and traders accept Jainism? Give me one good reason. Mane, তুমি কি কৈছা যে যোনবিলাক আগৰ পৰা যোনবিলাক ধনী আছিল wealthy merchants and traders তাহাঁতি Jainism accept কৰি ল'লে. Why? Why would wealthy traders and merchants accept Jainism? Why? It doesn't make any sense, no? এতিয়া কথাটো হ'ল চোৱা, কাৰণ Jainism was against production. So যোনখিনি মানুহ, all those people who were involved with production, they did not find Jainism very appealing. So they stayed away from Jainism. So Jainism could not attract the producing class. So if somebody wanted to become a Jain, he had limited options. He cannot choose to be a part of the producing class. So the only viable option he was left with, the only viable option in terms of, I'm not saying in terms of job, I'm saying in terms of what? In terms of profession. In terms of what? In terms of business. The only viable option he was left with was trading. Trading and production are two different things. Trading does not involve production. Trading is just buying goods from one place and selling the goods at a different place. That is trading. Hey Karne, you will see that most of the Jains are shopkeepers. Most of the Jains are traders. Trading. India kothatu hol because of the religious teachings of Jainism, the trading class got attracted to Jainism, or Jainism became a huge hit among the trading class. Okay, we can say this: Jainism became a huge hit among the trading class. Jainism may not have been able to, it may have failed to attract the producing class for its own teachings, but it was a major hit among the trading class. And for the trading people, people who are into trading, they will always try to move to a location who are major traders. Now I'm talking about people who are taking trading very, very seriously. So people who are into trading, who are major traders, who are merchants, a merchant or a trader, if he needs to scale up the business, if he or she needs to scale up his business, he will have to deal in what? He will have to deal in foreign trade. He will have to deal in export-import. Without export-import, you cannot become a very successful trader. Okay, you will have to deal in foreign trade. Now, kothatu hol, in order to deal in foreign trade, will it not become easy for you if you deal, or will it not become easy for you if you move to such a place which is close to the sea? And we all know the importance of sea with regards to foreign trade. We all know the importance of sea with respect to foreign trade. We all know why and how sea is important for foreign trade. Yes or no? We all know that. Okay, we all know that sea plays a very vital role. Okay, sea plays a very vital role in foreign trade. So, because the Jain followers, okay, all of them, okay, or most of them, let's say most of them chose trading, because some of them may have done jobs also. Most of them chose trading. And the ideal place from where you can do trading very, very successfully was the coastal state. The ideal place from where you can do business very, very successfully is the coastal state, because it becomes easy for you in terms of transportation. Suppose, for example, if you instead of residing in a coastal state, if you take this very seriously and if you do foreign trade, let's say you set up your base in Uttar Pradesh, and you are still trying to export some goods. So from Uttar Pradesh, if you are trying to export your goods via the coast of Gujarat, then the transportation cost from Uttar Pradesh to Gujarat will be an additional burden on your part. So you will you will save on their transportation cost if you set up your base in Gujarat itself. You will be able to save a lot of money. So all you need to do, if you have your base in Gujarat, all you need to do is ship your goods to the foreign country, because Gujarat is right next to the sea. And why Gujarat? Because Gujarat is not the Gujarat is not the only coastal state. Okay. Now this question must have arisen in your minds that, sir, is Gujarat the only coastal state? Why not Kerala? Why not Tamil Nadu? Why not Andhra Pradesh? Why not Karnataka? Why not Goa? Why not West Bengal? Why only Gujarat? Because out of all the Indian states, Gujarat has the longest coastline. Out of all the Indian states, Gujarat has the longest coastline. And longer the coastline, the better it is from the point of view of foreign trade. Obviously. So these people, since they did not have any other option, they could not go into production. So they decided to go into trading, and they wanted to take the trading to an altogether different level. So they moved to Gujarat. So whatever you guys are saying that the wealthy merchants and traders, no doubt about that, most of the Jain merchants are wealthy. But because they are wealthy, they did not become Jains. Because they were Jains, they became wealthy. Okay, there's a difference. They did not become Jains because they are wealthy. They became wealthy because they are Jains. Because the only option they had was to engage themselves in trading. And in order to do trading, they moved to places like Gujarat, from where it will be easier for them to engage in foreign trading. And why Rajasthan? Okay, Rajasthan also has a huge number of Jain followers. Why Rajasthan? Because Rajasthan is right, it is right above, Rajasthan is right above Gujarat. It is not at all far from Gujarat. It is right above Gujarat. So it was easy for them to transport goods to Gujarat from Rajasthan. So they had set up their base in Rajasthan also, which is why you will find a large number of Jain followers in Rajasthan. Rajasthan is not a coastal state, but it is very, 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 very close to Gujarat. It is right above Gujarat. So these two states ended up becoming the two most important states for Jainism in terms of population. Okay, is this point clear? This is why you will get to see most number of Jains in these two Indian states of Rajasthan and Gujarat. Is this point clear? What about the rest? Is this point clear? What about the rest? Quick, please respond, guys. कश्मीरा मुझे पलाना है. Okay, so yeah, now we are done with, okay, we are done with Jainism and Buddhism. Okay, we are done with Jainism as well as Buddhism. So let's proceed. Okay, let's proceed to the next part. Let's proceed to the next part. See, the next part is, now we need to talk about Magadha. Why Magadha became the most powerful Mahajanapada. Okay, why Magadha became the most powerful Mahajanapada. Why Magadha became the most powerful Mahajanpad. See, Magadha became the most powerful Mahajanpad. Magadha became the most powerful Mahajanpad due to certain reasons. We all know. Okay, I said this at the beginning of this particular unit of history, that is the age of Mahajanapadas. There were 16 Mahajanapadas. Okay, I must have told you guys about this in one of my previous classes. There were 16 Mahajanapadas. How many? 1-6. But the thing is that eventually Magadha became the most powerful Mahajanapada. Why? Why Magadha eventually became the most powerful Mahajanapada? Out of these 16 Mahajanapadas, why Magadha became the most powerful Mahajanapada? So this is a question which can be asked in the examination. In fact, this has been asked in the past by UPSC also. This question has featured in UPSC mains in the past. So what makes Magadha so special? So obviously there were certain reasons. They did not have any magic. They did not have any They did not have any. They did not have any what? They did not have any unseen powers, right? Most of the factors. Okay, there are certain factors which have a connection with geography. There are certain factors which have a connection with geography. There are certain factors which have a connection with metallurgy. There are certain factors which have a connection with politics also. Okay, now let's look into the reasons. Okay, this is going to be very interesting. Now let's talk about the reasons which led to the supremacy of Magadha. See, naturally defended capitals. This is the first reason. Naturally defended capitals. What is the meaning of this? Magadha was very, very lucky. Magadha was very lucky in terms of its capitals. Magadha was very lucky in terms of its capitals. Let's talk about its first capital, that is Rajgriha. Let's talk about its first capital, Rajgriha, or Jakami Rajgir Buliuko. Okay, Rajgriha or Rajgir. As we know, this was the first capital of Magadha. Okay, as we know, this was the first capital of Magadha, Rajgir or Rajgriha. Now Rajgir or Rajgriha or Rajgir, that is the first capital of Magadha. It was located at a very strategic position. It was located at a very strategic position. Now, what I mean by that is that it was a place which was surrounded by hills, Rajgir or Rajgriha. Okay, it was a place which was surrounded by hills. Okay, Sariufale Dangar Pahar. It was a place which was surrounded by hills. So it was what? It was naturally defended. Pahar thakile ki hobo? Pahar thakile obviously it will not be easy for your enemy to attack you. And if your capital is surrounded by hills, obviously you can position, you can station your army on top of those hills, from where they can keep a close watch on who is invading your capital or who is trying to invade your capital. And if they see someone trying to invade your capital, they can attack from that height. And whoever has an advantage of height, he or she always will always have an advantage. He or she in a war or in a battle or in a fight, the party which occupies the height will always have an advantage over the other party. So Magadha was surrounded, Rajgriha was surrounded by hills. So it was anyway naturally defended. Okay, because it's not easy. It's not easy for someone to penetrate through the hills. It is anyway tough. And on top of that, if you are stationing your troops, your defense troops on those hills, on the top of those hills, they can easily keep an eye on any invading force. Okay, so it was naturally defended, Rajgriha. Now let's talk about the last capital of Magad. As we all know, the last capital of Magad was Patliputra. The last capital of Magad was Patliputra. Okay, the last capital of Magad was Patliputra. And Patliputra was one such capital. You know, Patliputra was such a place. Like Rajgir was surrounded by rivers, Patliputra was surrounded, like Rajgir was surrounded by hills, Patliputra was surrounded by rivers. If Rajgir was surrounded by hills, Patliputra was surrounded by rivers. Many rivers like, many rivers like Ganga, Gandak, Son, Punpun, S-O-N, Son, Punpun. These four rivers used to girdle around. These four rivers used to surround what? These four rivers used to surround Patliputra. Ganga, Gandak, Son and Punpun. These four rivers used to surround Patliputra. These four rivers. So it was what? It was again naturally defended, because if a particular place is surrounded by rivers, it is not easy. It is not easy for a party to attack that particular place, because if somebody comes via the rivers, they can easily be traced. Okay, you can easily see them from a distance. If somebody is trying to attack you through the rivers, so they will have to come via the river. And if somebody is coming via the river, if somebody is coming via the river, they can easily be seen from a distance. And after spotting your enemy from a distance, you can easily take all kinds of measures to fail that invasion, or to prevent your capital from being invaded. So it was surrounded by rivers. Patliputra was surrounded by rivers, making it almost impossible, making it almost impregnable, making the capital almost impregnable. Making the capital almost impregnable. In fact, it was so heavily defended by rivers. This Patliputra was so heavily defended by rivers that Patliputra acquired the name of Jal Durga. You are getting me? It was so heavily defended. It had such impactful, it had such effective natural boundaries, and this natural boundary was of rivers. It was such an important natural boundary that Patliputra acquired the name of Jal Durga. It came to be known as Jal Durga, Jal Durg. Jal means water, and Durg, as we all know the meaning of Durg here, it means what? Fort. So you don't have to build a fort here. It was already naturally defended. It was already naturally defended. So Magad was very, very lucky in terms of both the capitals. Rajgir was also naturally defended. Patliputra was also naturally defended. Then availability of iron deposits. See, Magad itself was located at a very strategic place, and iron deposits were found. Iron deposits were found in and around Magad. Iron deposits were found in and around Magad, and we still know that the Chotanagpur plateau, which once upon a time used to be a part of Bihar, part of Chotanagpur plateau. Chotanagpur plateau still today it is what? It is home. It is a what? It is a we can call it a hub of minerals. It is a hub of minerals. It is a treasure trove. It is a treasure trove of minerals. Chotanagpur plateau. We all know that this particular region is very, very important even today. So obviously Magad is what? Let's say Magad is modern day Bihar, the area in and around modern day Bihar, including Bihar itself. Because Anga was also a part of Bihar, but Anga was finally annexed by Magad. So Anga eventually became a part of Magad. So let's say it is modern day Bihar. And the area in and around Bihar has always been rich in terms of iron deposits. So it became very easy for Magad to acquire iron, and we all know the importance of iron. With that iron, Magad was able to make so many weapons of war, which proved to be very useful for them in times of war. Okay, and with the help of those weapons, they could easily defeat their enemies. When Ajatashatru, when he expanded the empire in all directions. Or when the Shishunak dynasty was finally able to defeat whom? Avanti. Okay, so availability of iron deposits. Again, Magad was again located at such a place which was, again the area close to Magad, or the area in the vicinity of Magad, was also known for availability of elephants. Okay, so it was very easy for the Magadhan rulers to acquire elephants. Okay, in fact, elephants have always been found. Elephants have always been found in abundance. Elephants have always been found in abundance in the eastern part of India, be it Bihar, be it West Bengal, or be it Assam and the other parts of northeast. Elephants have always been found in abundance. Okay, so Magad was located at such a place, or Magad was located at such an area from where it was very easy to acquire elephants. And we all know the importance of elephants in wars. Okay, in earlier times, elephants were one of the most potent weapons in war. Most potent weapons. Because elephants will help you what? Elephants will help you break the fort walls. Elephants will help you destroy your enemies. Elephants will also help you crush your enemies. So there are many ways you can use elephants to your advantage in wars. So elephants, the more number of elephants you have, okay, the more number of elephants you have, stronger is your possibility of winning that war. Okay. Then outside the fold of Aryanism, this is a very important point. Magad at this point in time was outside. Magad at this point in time was outside the fold of Aryanism. Magad at this point in time was outside the fold of Aryanism. Because it was outside the fold of Aryanism, caste system could not cast its shadow on Magad. Are you guys getting me? So Magad was free from the evils of the caste system because it was outside the fold of Aryanism till this point. In fact, if you read material belonging to this time period, jodi ekhini homer apnaloke kisman kitab potra podhe, then you will find that the upper caste people used to look at Magad. Okay, the upper caste people used to look at Magad with with what? With a sense of they used to look at, they did not have a high opinion about Magad. Okay, they used to look at Magad derogatorily. Okay, they used to look at Magad with contempt. Because, why? Because the people of Magad were not following many rules and regulations laid down by the Brahmins. They were not adhering to many rules and regulations laid down by the Brahmins. Second number question, it was outside the Aryan fold by that time. It was not one of the strongholds of Aryanism, Magad. Because it was not one of the strongholds of Aryanism, obviously, the people of Magad were not following the caste system very, very rigidly. And because they were not following the caste system very, very rigidly, their society was not divided. Their society was not as divided as a society which was following the caste system, because caste system divides a particular society into four folds. Okay, Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas and Shudras. Such a division was not found in Magad at this point in time, which kept the people united at times of war. For example, the caste system doesn't allow each and everyone to participate in the war, no matter how talented you are. So even if a let's say even if a Brahmin is highly talented, he cannot take part in the war, because his duty is not to take part in a war. Okay, Kshatriyas are responsible to take part in wars. They are supposed to protect all the other castes. But Magad did not follow any such thing. So there was a sense of what? There was a greater sense of unity. There was a greater sense of unity among the people of Magad at this point in time, which gave them, whereas the other societies at this point in time lacked in vitality. The other societies, the caste-ridden societies, lacked in vitality. Magad was highly energetic. It did not lose out on its vitality, at least till this time. Okay, because it was outside the Aryan fold. Mujhe paisa no hai? Aru strong set of rulers. Obviously, this strong set of rulers is essential, is utmost essential. Without a strong set of rulers, no matter what advantages you have, no matter how many natural advantages you have, you may not be able to make good of those advantages. You may not be able to take advantage of those advantages, of those plus points which nature has bestowed you with. Am I clear? So strong set of rulers. For example, Magad was very lucky to have a ruler like Bimbisara. Okay, Bimbisara was followed by his son. Okay, the very next slide talks about them. Okay, we'll be talking about them very soon. So Bimbisara was followed by Ajatashatru. He was also a very powerful and strong ruler. He expanded Magad in different directions. He annexed what? He annexed Kashi. Okay, Ajatashatru, he annexed Kashi, he annexed Koshal. So Koshal and Kashi, these were two of the most powerful Mahajanapadas. And it was during the reign of Ajatashatru, both Koshal as well as Kashi became a part of Magad. Okay, then obviously, Magad was also very lucky to have a dynasty by the name of Shishunak dynasty. Shishunak dynasty also produced quite a few powerful rulers, like for example Kalashok. Okay, in fact, it was during the reign of the founder of the Shishunak dynasty itself, whose name was Nagdasaka. Okay, I'm so sorry, Nagdasaka was the name of the last ruler of the Brihatrat dynasty. The founder of the Shishunak dynasty was Shishunak himself. It was during the reign of Shishunak himself that he was able to defeat Avanti. So Avanti was the second most powerful Mahajanapada after Magad. So the Shishunak dynasty, it was during the reign of the Shishunak dynasty that Avanti also became a part of Magad. So, obviously the rulers of Shishunak dynasty also must have been powerful. Then finally came the Nanda dynasty, which was one of the most powerful dynasties of Magad. Nanda dynasty, Mahapadma Nanda, he was the most powerful, one of the most powerful rulers of Magad. Before, obviously, I'm talking about the age of Mahajanapadas now. Mahapadma Nanda is known as the first empire builder of India. Mahapadma Nanda, he went on to annex Kalinga also. Mahapadma Nanda, he went on to annex Kalinga also. Kalinga. So he was obviously a powerful ruler. So Magad was blessed to have a strong set of rulers. So because of all these factors contributed to what? All these factors contributed to the supremacy of Magad. All these factors contributed to the supremacy of Magad. Okay, am I clear? Now let's talk about the political developments in Magad. So see, because Magad became the most powerful Mahajanapada of all the 16 Mahajanapadas, so we need to focus more on Magad. We do not need to delve into, okay, we don't have to delve into the political developments of the other Mahajanapadas, but we have to delve into the political developments of Magad. So, as we all know, Magad was the name of the Mahajanapada, okay, of the most powerful Mahajanapada, Magad. It was the name of a Mahajanapada, or it was the name of a place, okay, to make you guys understand. It was the name of a place. The name of the place was Magad, and Magad was being ruled by different dynasties at different points in time. Like for example, India is the name of a place, and India, in India, there have been different governments belonging to different political parties. Okay, different political parties have went on to form governments at different points in time in India. Just like that, Magad is the name of a place, and Magad was being ruled by different dynasties in different, at different points in time. So the first dynasty, okay, the first dynasty is known as the Brihatrat dynasty. This dynasty is not very important for us. Brihatrat. Brihatrat dynasty. Okay, the only thing that we have to know about Brihatrat dynasty is that it was this dynasty which made Rajgir or Raja Griha it was this dynasty that made Rajgir or Raja Griha the capital of Magadha. This is how Rajgir or Raja Griha became the first capital of Magadha. Okay, it became what? The first capital. It was during the time of the Brihatrat dynasty that Rajgir or Raja Griha became the first capital of Magadha. Okay. Now the first important dynasty of Magadha was Haryanka dynasty. The first important dynasty of Magadha was Haryanka dynasty. Okay, who was the founder? The founder was Bimbisara. Very important person. Very important king. Very important king Bimbisara. Why is he important? Because firstly, we have to know that he was a contemporary. He was a contemporary of Buddha and Mahavir, obviously. He was a contemporary of Buddha and Mahavir. Meaning he used to live in the same time as Buddha and Mahavir. Okay, he was a contemporary of Buddha and Mahavir. He was the contemporary of Buddha and Mahavir. Then, the second thing about Bimbisara that we have to know is, Bimbisara, see, he was a very smart king. Bimbisara was a very smart king. But, before showing his smartness, he did what? He is also credited with the first expansion. Magadha, for the first time, expanded itself. ठीक है, expand करा मैंने मुझे पैसे ना होए. For the first time, Magadha expanded itself. It undertook an expansionary activity under Bimbisara for the first time. And what was that expansionary activity? Bimbisara annexed Anga. Anga was Magadha's easternmost neighbor. Okay, it was Magadha's easternmost neighbor, and it was Magadha's easternmost neighbor, and Bimbisara ended up annexing Anga. But then he started showing his acumen. He started showing his art of diplomacy. Okay, he did not expand anymore. He did not annex any more Mahajanapada, but he started showing his sense of diplomacy. And how did he exhibit? How did he showcase his sense of diplomacy? How did he do that? He showcased his sense of diplomacy by he entered into matrimonial alliance. He entered into matrimonial alliance. He entered into matrimonial alliance with Koshal. He entered into matrimonial alliance with Koshal. Are you guys getting me? He entered into matrimonial alliance with Koshal. Other than that, Bimbisara, he knew that Ujjain was equally powerful. At that point in time, Ujjain was also a very, very powerful Mahajanapada. Ujjain had two capitals. The northern capital was, Avanti. The name of the Mahajanapada was Avanti, not Ujjain. Avanti, Avanti. So Bimbisara knew that Avanti was also very, very powerful. Avanti's northern capital was Ujjain and southern capital was Mahishmati. Okay, Mahishmati. The northern capital was Ujjain, southern capital was Mahishmati. And Ujjain, as we all know, is in Madhya Pradesh. So Bimbisara knew that Ujjain was also very powerful. So he did not try to engage in a war with Ujjain. Rather, he tried to develop a friendly relation with Ujjain. How can we say that Bimbisara tried to develop a friendly relation with Ujjain? How can we say that? We can say this because Bimbisara, what did he do? We can say this because Bimbisara sent his court physician. Now Bimbisara had this famous court physician by the name of Jivaka. He was his personal physician. Who was Jivaka? This has been asked by APSC as well as UPSC in the past. Okay, who was Jivaka? Jivaka was Bimbisara's personal physician. Okay, Jivaka was Bimbisara's personal physician and he was a world-class physician. He was one of the best physicians of that time. Jivaka. He was one of the best physicians. He was one of the best physicians of that time. Jivaka. He had done his education. He had done his education at the very famous Takshashila University. And after completing his education at the Takshashila University, he came to where? He took up a job. He took up a job in the court of Bimbisara. This was a very prestigious job. He was the personal physician, the royal physician of Bimbisara, Jivaka. Now, why am I talking about Jivaka all of a sudden? Why am I talking about Jivaka all of a sudden? Because Bimbisara, what did he do? Because Bimbisara, there was this, now I'm talking about Avanti. At this point in time, Avanti was ruled by a person. Who was the king of Avanti? A person called Pradyota. Okay, a person called Pradyota was the king of Avanti at this point in time. At this point in time, a person called Pradyota was the king of Avanti. Okay, at this point in time, a person called Pradyota was the king of Avanti. And this Bimbisara went out of his way. And it so happened that Pradyota was not well for some time. Okay, he fell sick. Okay, Pradyota fell sick. And Bimbisara came to know about this. Now, in order to cultivate friendly relations, so that both the Mahajana Mahajanapadas can become friends, Bimbisara did what? In order to make their relationship stronger, Bimbisara sent Jivaka, who was his own personal and royal physician. He sent Jivaka to cure Pradyota. See, that was a very welcoming gesture. That was a very warm gesture on the part of Bimbisara. And Pradyota must have been impressed by this particular gesture because Jivaka was very, very well known at that point in time. So he sent his personal physician Jivaka to the court of Pradyota so that Jivaka can cure Pradyota of that illness. He was suffering from some kind of he was suffering from an illness, Pradyota. So why am I telling you all these? Because this is very important, because this goes to show that Bimbisara knew the art of diplomacy. In today's world, we all have to know the art of diplomacy, be it in our personal life or be it in the realm of international relations. So the diplomats have to know the art of diplomacy very well. And we also have to be diplomatic in our personal lives. ठीक है sir? The art of diplomacy is very important. Okay, so now Bimbisara, you also have to know that Bimbisara, he gifted what? He gifted a land to Buddha at Sanchi. Bimbisara also gifted a land to Buddha at Sanchi. I mean, Bimbisara was very, very influenced by Buddha, and it is stated he became a Buddhist. Okay, Bimbisara became a Buddhist, and he also gave a land to Buddha at Sanchi. I already told you guys that both of them were contemporaries. Okay, Bimbisara and Buddha. So he gifted a land to Buddha at Sanchi. This Bimbisara, he was finally killed. By his son, Ajatashatru. This Bimbisara was finally killed by his son, Ajatashatru. He was finally killed by his son, Ajatashatru. Because Ajatashatru, right from the early days, right from his early days, he was very, very aggressive. Ajatashatru. Right from his early days, he had started showing signs of aggression. So he may not have liked he may not have liked the approach of Bimbisara with respect to certain issues. Like for example, I mean, there are certain rulers who like what? Who like expansion more than who like expansion more than diplomacy, who like wars more than diplomacy. I mean, it's all about how you look at certain things. I'm not judging here. It's not my place to say whether Ajatashatru was bad or good. I'm just stating the facts. I'm just keeping the facts in front of you. So he may have been such a ruler who considered war more important than diplomacy. So he may not have liked the approach of his father, and he ended up killing his father. So initially he was kept in a prison. Okay, initially he was imprisoned. And if you go to Bihar someday, there is still a place by the name of Bimbisara jail. You can actually visit that place, and that place is believed to be the original place, or that particular place is believed to be the same place where Bimbisara was being imprisoned by his son Ajatashatru. And that's how Ajatashatru came to power. Ajatashatru came to power by imprisoning his father and finally killing his father. And then Ajatashatru came to power. Now we have to talk about Ajatashatru. Now Ajatashatru, see, we all know he was the son of Bimbisara. We also know that he organized the first Buddhist council. Okay, we have already spoken about the Buddhist councils. So he also became a Buddhist. So we can say that Buddhism was already a popular religion in Magadha by this time. Okay, during the age of Buddha himself, because see, Ajatashatru is also a contemporary of Buddha, and Ajatashatru becomes very, very important for us because it was during the reign of Ajatashatru that Buddha dies. Buddha dies. So, I mean, only after the death of Buddha, Ajatashatru organizes the first Buddhist council. So, Buddha dies during the reign of Ajatashatru. Like I said, Ajatashatru was a very aggressive ruler. He undertook many expansionary activities. Okay, for example, he annexed what? He annexed Kashi. He annexed Koshal. And he also annexed what? He also annexed Vaishali, which was the capital of the Vajji Mahajanapada. Okay, and Vaishali is in northern part of Bihar. Okay, Vaishali is still a district in Bihar. It is located on the northern side of Bihar, Vaishali. So see, just look at the kind of expansion. Just look at the kind of expansion he is doing to Magadha. He is expanding Magadha in all sides. To the north, to the east, to the west. Okay, Kashi Kashi was also a Mahajanapada. Kashi's capital was Banaras, as we all know. Okay, Koshal's capital, as we all know, Koshal was very, very important. Its capital was Shravasti, and it was Koshal. Okay, Buddha Lumbini. Okay, Buddha was born in Lumbini at that point in time. Lumbini was a part of the Koshal Mahajanapada. So he annexes Kashi, he annexes Koshal. Where shall we see? Ajatashatru, he annexes Koshal. He annexes Koshal despite the fact that his own mother was from Koshal. Okay, remember Bimbisara entered into a matrimonial alliance with Koshal. So Ajatashatru's Koshal was not no stranger to Ajatashatru. Okay, Koshal was no stranger to Ajatashatru. But for Ajatashatru, politics is politics. He did not mix politics with personal relations. He wanted to annex Koshal, so he ended up waging a war against his own people. So it was like a nephew is waging a war against his maternal uncle. So, at the end of it all, he was successful in annexing Koshal. Okay. Now, before annexing Koshal, when Ajatashatru must have been preparing to annex Koshal, Koshal and Avanti, they entered into an alliance. They formed some kind of a political alliance. In order to defeat Magad, in order to defeat Ajatashatru. And by forming that political alliance, and both the forces approached towards Magad, approached towards the kingdom of Ajatashatru. When Ajatashatru sensed it, when he came to know about it, he immediately started building a what? He immediately started building a fort. Ajatashatru did what? In order to protect himself and Magad, he started building a fort. Where? At the confluence. Where? At the confluence. What is the meaning of confluence? Meeting point. At the confluence of Ganga, Son, and Gandak. Okay. As soon as Ajatashatru came to know about this incoming invasion of Koshal and Avanti, he immediately builds a fort at the confluence of Ganga, Son, and Gandak. And he was successful also in building this particular fort, and in fact, with the help of this fort, he was successful to avert this attack also. He was successful. But the thing, this is a very important development, because it was this particular site where Ajatashatru had built this fort. It was this particular site that later became famous as Patliputra. Of course, Ajatashatru was not the founder of Patliputra. Okay, by the time of Ajatashatru, Patliputra was not even known. It had not become a city. But the point I am trying to make here is, it was this particular site where Ajatashatru had built a fort at the confluence of Ganga, Son, and Gandak. It was this particular site that later became a very, very important city. Had he not built this fort, this place would not have become a city, and finally the capital of Magad. So this is very, very crucial from the point of view of Patliputra becoming the last capital of Magad. And Patliputra is very important, because when Chandragupta Maurya would establish the first empire of India, that is Mauryan Empire, he also rules from Patliputra. And Patliputra remains, it remains to be relevant till the very end. It remains to be relevant, highly relevant till the very end of the Mauryan Empire, Patliputra. So all those things would not have happened had Ajatashatru not built this fort. So this is a very important development. Okay, and with that, I am ending my today's class. I will continue from this in my next class. So do you guys have any doubts? I'll just wait for 2 more minutes and then I will end my class. So do you guys have any doubts? Please respond to my question, guys. Do you have any doubts? এই ফোর্টটোৱে গৈ পাটলিপুত্ৰ হোৱা নাই পাটলিপুত্ৰ এই ফোর্টটোৰ আশে পাশে এখন সিটি ডেভেলপ হ'ল সেইটো মই নেক্সট ক্লাছত কম মই কৈ আছো এই সাইটটোৰ পৰাই পাটলিপুত্ৰ হোৱা আৰম্ভ হ'ল আজাদ শত্ৰুৱে পাটলিপুত্ৰখন বনোৱা নাই আজাদ শত্ৰুৱে মাত্ৰ ফোর্টটো বনালে ফোর্টটো বনাল কাৰণে এখন সিটি তাত ডেভেলপ হ'ল লাহে লাহে ওকে সিটিখন কেনেকৈ ডেভেলপ হ'ল কাৰণ যেতিয়া আজাদ শত্ৰুৱে ফোর্ট বনালে ফোর্ট বনোৱা মানে কি ফোর্টৰ ভিতৰত ৰজা থাকিব ৰাণী থাকিব গোটেই পৰিয়াল থাকিব ৰয়েল ফ্যামিলি থাকিব নোবেলছ থাকিব মিনিষ্টাৰ্ছ থাকিব সোলজাৰ্ছ থাকিব আৰ্মি থাকিব সো বহুত মানুহ এই ফোর্টটোত আছিল সো যেহেতু গোটেই মানুহখিনি ফোর্টটোৰ ভিতৰত আছিল সো ফোর্টটোৰ আশে পাশে শ্বপকিপাৰ্ছ বিলাকে দোকান দিব ট্ৰেডাৰ্ছ বিলাকে মানে এখন মাৰ্কেট ফৰ্ম হ'ব ফোর্টটোৰ আশে পাশে টু মিট দ্য নিডছ অফ দ্য পিপল লিভিং ইনসাইড দ্য ফোর্ট আৰু সেই মাৰ্কেটখনে লাহে লাহে তাত ইমান ডাঙৰ এখন মাৰ্কেট প্লেচ হৈ যাব ট্ৰেডিং হ'ব মাৰ্কেট হ'ব সো লাহে লাহে one thing will lead to the other one thing will lead to another and eventually it will take the form of a city enekwa cities bilakok ami durga buliye ko okay during the age of Mahajanapadas we can find different kinds of cities like durga pur thik ase like durga kwa pur kwa thik ase nigam kwa so durga cities bilak develop keneke hoy durga cities bilak develop tomar origin hoy ফোর্টৰ পৰা তাত প্ৰথমে ফোর্ট এটা বিল্ড হয় এই ফোর্টৰ আশে পাশে তোমাৰ মাৰ্কেট বিল্ড হয় আৰু সেই মাৰ্কেট বিলাকে লাহে লাহে ডাঙৰ হৈ গোটেই এখন সিটি হৈ যায় ডাঙৰ সিটি বুজি পাইছা okay so thank you so much I'll see you all in my next class okay